This is the channel for the woman who's done playing small, the woman who knows there's a fire in her belly, a voice in her bones, and a destiny she's done apologizing for. If you're ready to unleash the woman you were born to be, hit subscribe and join the movement. I'm Leona Schrock, and let's rise together.
Let's talk about grief. So, something that has come up a lot the last while, and that I have navigated my clients, my friends through is grief in your journey of building your dream. And especially the grief that comes from when you are leaving healing into embodiment. And when you have been the strong, independent woman and you are leaving hustling and grinding and you are going into flow and ease. There's so many different dynamics, there's so many different ways that I can quote unquote label this. It's like going from being the strong independent woman, the high achieving woman, to now you are in your beingness, you are in your most powerful place. So leaving poverty and going into prosperity. So as a strong, independent woman, as an overachiever, you developed some coping mechanisms that kept you really safe. That's what made you feel successful. That's what made you feel loved. That's what made you feel worthy, was when you were in the doingness. Because somewhere along the line in your childhood, you didn't feel worthy or you didn't feel safe. The core of it is you didn't feel safe, like you were truly lovable and that you were safe in your beingness. And I'll take my story, for example. I actually just got hot seat coaching in this yesterday. And the program that I'm in, the Wealthy CEO, was not expecting at all to get this coaching, which it ended up being amazing. And it like healed something in my nervous system. So I've known for most of my healing journey that one of my biggest fracturing points in my life was when I lost my mom emotionally and mentally, but not physically. And it wasn't that my mom couldn't communicate anymore. It was just that she had broken her leg, and it was when she began to like have anxiety and depression, and her bipolar went to the top through the roof. And we had her on medications, and she was in and out of the hospital. My dad was, I don't know if my dad was necessarily, I imagine for the time frame that he was in, for the culture that he was in and the generation that he was born, I can't imagine that he was emotionally available prior to that. But then after that, the emotionally unavailableness like accelerated. Because he was also dealing with grieving the loss of who his wife was and who she is. Now, my mom still had the ability to have like everyday conversations. She just wasn't in her nurturing and her nourishment. It flipped roles. I became the parent. She became, what is the best way to describe other than she became dependent on medications in order to regulate her emotions, her depression, her panic, her anxiety, all the different things. I'm not against medications. I'm also not for them. But this is not what this is. This whole topic is about. So, in that to be said, it got really quiet in what was my safety mechanism. Suddenly, it was like it got quiet and it got loud at the same time. Suddenly, it got really quiet as far as like, am I still secure as a child in this family? Because my dad is working extra, he's working overtime. Sometimes my mom is in the hospital. I don't know when she's going to come home, when she's going to leave again. The instability of like when she was home, is she happy? Is she sad? Is she angry? Is she like, is her medication work? Like always bracing, like my coach said yesterday, you were always bracing for the unknown. And it wasn't like a good unknown. It was like bracing for, ooh, what's going to happen? And what am I going to need to fix? And am I going to need to make better in order for me to feel safe? Set me right into the doing this. I have to do something in order to feel safe, which then wired and fired my nervous system that in order for me to feel safe, in order for me to feel loved, in order for me to feel worthy, I need to do. And so I see this all the time in like high achieving women, the high independent woman, and it almost can feel offensive because it's like, no, I know my worth. I know who I am. And I know I'm a strong, independent woman. I know that I'm capable of doing all the things. And the thing is that you are capable of doing all the things where it feels like it's a struggle, is for you to receive, for you to embody, for you to be, for you to trust in your beingness and tap into the power that God has placed within inside of you. And that's going to require you to let go of the self protecting mechanisms of when you were always doing stuff in order to feel safe, when you were always achieving something to get that dopamine hit, to feel successful, to feel enough, to feel worthy, to feel loved. And once you begin to realize and you're doing the deep inner work, and some of this is going to be, I have not yet made the module for it. And I'm going to take you guys along on this journey because I have a whole brand that I'm creating that is Reclaim Her Power. And I have not decided yet if this is going to be a monthly program. I have played around with this so much, but I had like this side riff come in, a plot twist, if you will, of me going more into executive coaching. And that is where my number one alignment is right now, is in executive coaching, where I take businesses that are struggling and I help them grow and expand, organize, team building, communications, all the different things. But also still on the side, I'm building my company and my brand, Reclaim Her Power. It is where you reclaim your power in every area of your life. It is where you are reclaiming your power in your own internal relationship with yourself and with your family and with your friendships and with organization. I know so many of you want so many organization tips from me. And that is something that I kind of like fall to the wayside with, because I'm like, organization is so easy. And I understand it's not that easy for everybody, but it's like reclaiming your power with your organization, with your house, and creating this life of your dreams. And that is happening in the background. But what I want to say is, I am learning myself how to navigate life, of walking through, excuse me, excuse me, um, of not coming from a place of doing, not coming from a place where I'm motivated because I feel some type of shame of doing enough, or also not coming from a place where I'm proving myself. And this required next level vulnerability, next level honesty with myself. I didn't want to look at it. If we're being really transparent here, I did not want to look at these things inside of myself, because I was like, no, I just do things because I can. I just do things because it comes easily to me. I just do things because that is who I am. That is my heart. I have a heart to serve everybody. But then I had to go through this whole like death of self-protecting mechanism and realize that I do things because there's an obligation to do them. It's a self-protecting mechanism because I don't feel truly safe to be loved and to be seen for me. And if I stop doing these things and I start embodying who I truly am, that is going to require an identity crisis. That is going to require a death to an old identity, and rebuild my life from embodiment and not proving something or doing something. And it's not that I'm just like not doing anything, but it's now coming from a place of my desire. It's now coming from a place because it's aligned. It's now coming from a place because I'm convicted. And so we go through this grieving process, and in the grieving process, this isn't talked about enough, is you can feel a sense of loss, of like loss of um, excitement, loss of having the desire to do anything. You can feel exhausted all the time. You feel like your spark is gone. You feel like you don't even know where to place your worth. There's an ache in your heart where you feel really lonely and you feel really alone, because it's like, well, okay, if you're saying that I don't have to do all these things in order to be worthy and loved, now you're looking at all the years that you did that. So you're grieving the loss of that, which is a good thing. But this is also why many avoid going into freedom and they'll stay in suffering, because suffering is, you don't even know that you're addicted to suffering, but suffering is chaotic. Suffering keeps you in the addiction to prediction. So it's like you are suddenly standing in this most magical, beautiful place, and you look around you, and everything that you have desired is available to you. You don't have to work hard for it, it's yours. That strips you away from a place that you would think feels like the greatest source of freedom, but feels terrifying to a nervous system that has hustled and grinded. Because Now the hustle and grind is no longer in the external. The hustle and grind is in the internal. And that is where it is honoring, valuing, and choosing yourself in what your soul is saying and what God has written on your heart versus the way that you have been conditioned. So when you're in this grieving process, you might sleep a lot more. You're going to have the voices come up of like, I feel lazy. I feel insufficient. I feel like I'm procrastinating. I'm never going to reach my dream. And it's not that when you're standing on this island, so to speak, and you're looking at all your desires and I'm like, wow, I have access to everything that I've desired, that it's just like you don't have to do anything. It's you realize that the power has all been placed within inside of you and you're co-creating with God, and it's not that difficult. The part that's difficult is letting go of the struggle. The I don't have to work hard. What are you saying? I don't have to work hard for this? What do you mean? What do you mean that when I show up for myself because I am embodied and I'm trusting and I believe and I receive, what do you mean that I can actually have that? I'm so used to working, grinding, and hustling. And every time I reach that goal line, every time I reach that thing, then I set the bar a little bit higher. Then I set the expectation a little bit higher because I don't know what to do. I don't feel safe to just be. I don't feel safe to trust and believe in myself at that deep level. Because if I trust and believe in myself at the core of who I am, that means the decisions that I am making, not because somebody else made them, but because I am making, I'm going to be seen. I'm going to be visible. People are going to see me because now I'm coming from a place of me and not conditioning. And that feels frightening and that feels terrifying. And I'll share a recent story that happened with me that I was like, and I still haven't, this is still in real time. I would say I've navigated like three-fourths of the way through, but I'm still processing this. Is so I'm building my Reclaiming Her Power brand. And then over here, I have been an assistant. I have been project manager. I've been all the different things for this house renovation company. And him and I have like zigzagged my positions because I can do it all. And I could do it all. And we finally, as I went into the like deeper inner work of myself and left the healing into embodiment, him and I had a sit down conversation, which is actually coming on my podcast next week. And he's starting his own podcast. So you guys will get a snippet of him, and then his podcast is going to launch into the world, and then you guys can go listen to his podcast, and obviously stay by my podcast as well. Anyways, so you get the best of both worlds. But in that to be said, we had a conversation, and I realized that my like where my zone of genius is me being an executive coach. And so we navigated, and I'm truly thankful that he's the type that he has the ability to let the feminine be the feminine, to trust. And there's this dance when masculine and feminine are in business together. Like you will become unstoppable. And this is what we have discovered is when you bring the two together, you have the best of both worlds and you build the empire. So with that, we had a conversation. I moved into executive coaching position. And the one day he comes to me and he says, who's your next client? And I was like, what are you talking about? And he's like, who's your next client? What's that next client look like? Who's your next business? And I was like, what? It's like, what do you mean? I'm like over here building my Reclaim Her Power company. And I said, well, I'm like on the path to coaching women. Like, what are you? He's like, you're ready to take on another business. He's like, we've cut down your hours because of the value that you bring into my company. You have so much value to offer. He's like, you are ready to take on another company that feels like, well, I put this in my own words now, but basically I'm ready to take on another company that has hit a brick wall and they want to expand and they want to grow and they don't know where their weak spots are and they don't know what shift that needs to be created. You're ready to go into that company, expand and grow them, help them organize, build their teams, do the communications and identity work. I was like, what? And I just let it sit there for a hot second because I was like, where have I been in this? Like, I actually have been building this on the side, never really seeing myself because I just ran it. We went up the mountain, down the mountain, through the valley, through the hills, all these different things. And I'm like, oh my God, he's right. Oh my God, I'm ready to take on another client. I'm ready to take on another business. And so I'm in these two classes, which are the Millionaire Club and the Wealthy CEO. And I say something in the Millionaire Club where I'm like, I don't know what to do because I was like, I'm building this like reclaiming her power, but yet this got dropped to me of like being an executive coach for another company, taking on another client. And like, it's so obvious, but like, where have I been this whole time? It's like I've been doing the things, but I really didn't see it until he shed light on it. And she looked at me and she goes, I think it's because it's too easy, Leona. You don't quote unquote feel like you are working for it. Which was like, what? Because in my mind, I'm like, we have work. Like the amount of growth that we both chugged this past year with this company was like miracle growth. And I'm like, but she's right because I am ready. It's here. I don't have to like build and grind and do all the things. I have been doing that, but now I'm ready for the next building block. And I went through this like whole of like, this is so exciting to, I felt my bottom dropped out. What are you talking about? What do you mean it gets to be this easy? What do you mean I get to do things that I'm so good at that I don't not always like raising the bar? Obviously, I will always grow. I will always expand. That's who I am at the core. But I had to go through a grieving process. This is what so many of my clients are going through. This is what so many of my friends are going through. I've walked so many men and women through this. Is honoring and having compassion and allowing yourself to grieve because you have been wired and fired from this place most of your life. And it's going to take you into embodiment of who you're designed to be. It's going to connect you deeper to your heart and your soul. It's going to have you feeling more vulnerable than you've ever felt. It's going to require you to let go of self-protecting mechanisms. And you're going to be building the life of your dreams. But in that grieving, you might feel lonely. You might feel scared. You might feel angry. You might feel terrified. You might feel like you just want to be under a blanket and hide for a while. It's normal because your nervous system is regulating this new way of life. And this is why you see so many people. One of the biggest ways to like actually scale this and show you a solid picture is so many people are like, why do they go back to that toxic person? Why did they go back to that toxic relationship? Because their nervous system does not feel safe. They don't feel worthy and lovable to be in a safe, healthy relationship. It's the same way with having a healthy and safe relationship with yourself, with your business, with your family, with your bank account, with your relationships. To the nervous system that was wired and fired in sacrificing and in suffering, in poverty, freedom, prosperity, abundance, embodiment is going to feel terrifying. And when you're in that gap, give yourself the permission to grieve. Give yourself the permission to be okay with not being okay. I wanted to share this today because so many have felt like they're going crazy. And it's like, no, you're not going crazy. You are literally grieving a whole person that you were, and you are shifting an identity. And it is a major, major life change. And I'm celebrating you because you are so powerful that you are showing up for yourself in such a courageous way. Be with you, journal with you. And once my programs open up, I will let you know. I will see you on next episode.